Waterfall, the CCW podcast.
Have you ever wondered how much water you actually use in a day? In this episode of Waterfall, we'll be taking a deep dive, pardon the pun, looking closely at the surprising amounts of water consumed in everyday tasks, from showering and cooking to washing clothes or flushing the loo. We'll be sharing some practical tips to help you reduce your water use, and we'll also be taking a peek into the future, looking at smart water meters and the impact they may have in helping us to save water and money. I won't be doing this alone. I've got a special guest joining me today, and we've also been out hitting the streets to find out what your views are. But before we get started, don't forget, you can get in touch with us at Waterfall by emailing podcast@ccwater.org.uk, and you can find us on social media. Just look for @CCW Voice. So without further delay, let's jump right into this episode of Waterfall.
CCW, passionate about championing the best interests of everyone who uses water, now and in the future. I'm
really pleased today to say I am joined by Andrew Tucker, Demand Reduction Strategy Manager at Thames Water. So welcome back, Andrew, as you originally joined us back in Series 3 for an episode focusing on leaky loos, which we may get onto today, I think, looking at how much water we use. But first, before we begin, can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do at Thames Water?
Yeah, no problem at all. So my role is to basically get everyone out there, all the homes and all businesses, to use less of the product. Slightly perverse, challenging role that most industries may not have. But quite simply, we have big water saving challenges. We don't have as much water in the country as we would like to have. Lots of people, lots of growth, and we need to make room for more. So we want everyone to save water, save money, and that's simple.
I love that. You're right. It is slightly counterintuitive to have a role in a business where you're saying use less of our product, but it is so important. Well, thanks for joining us, Andrew. And I think to start this episode, we've been out and about asking people about their water use, things about how much do they use day to day, what do they think uses a lot or a little of water, and really whether they're even aware of their consumption in their daily lives. So let's have a listen to those first.
How many litres of water do you think you use every day?
100, 200 litres?
50.
I reckon I use around about 150.
I'm going to say 50.
I'm going to say, I would say about 8 litres of water.
Which of your daily activities do you think uses the most water?
Probably bathing and showering.
Probably showering.
Dishwasher.
Washing laundry.
Toilets. And washing up potentially. No, actually, washing machine.
Which of your daily activities do you think uses the least amount of water?
Washing hands.
Toilet flushing.
Shower.
Brushing my teeth.
So,
Shower.
how conscious are you of your daily water use?
Not very aware. As I mentioned before, we've got a funny situation in our particular house where we share the water pipe with our neighbours. So that's one of the things that kind of puts me off trying to uncover how much water I use, because I don't think I would get an accurate reading.
Semi.
Do you make any changes to save water?
No, just try and turn things off when they're not in use. Like, don't leave the tap running when you're brushing your teeth, for example, or washing your hands.
I am fairly aware, but I do not make any amendments to what I use.
I would say I'm moderately conscious. I make sure to turn off running taps. I try to do laundry in the evening. Always yelling at the kids for turning off the taps. We keep water on the sink in a Brita, so it's not on to get water running.
Not really, no. I don't. I take for granted of anything here.
So I'd have to say, yeah, it's a selection of people at outdoors somewhere. Something very exciting was happening in the background, I think. But what do you think of that, Andrew? What's your reaction to hearing people?
It's actually pretty consistent with what we've heard before many times. It doesn't matter where you are at the country or who does the interviewing. And good job for Mike and his dulcet tones for those interviews. But I think everyone's probably picking on a really standard response. There's maybe even some higher numbers there than I've heard previously. So it is good to get a wide range of views, because you can understand now the starting point that we've got to have this discussion.
Absolutely. It gives us that baseline, doesn't it? And it was nice to hear a couple of, 200, 150s in there, because I think back in about 2020, Water UK did some research where I think it was 46% of people thought their usage was 20 litres and under. So perhaps there's progress. But why do you think it is that we are so often quite off the mark on what we use day to day?
They're probably off the mark when we're comparing it to that sort of derived national average figure, which at the moment is in the order of 140-ish litres per person. That's when you add up all the water that goes to homes and you divide it by all the people that live out there, and you come up with an average number. But everyone has their own number. So it could be 50, it could be 80, it could be 250. The main point that you take from those interviews is that everyone was guessing.
Yeah.
So actual water use is pretty specific to them and to their family. And it at the moment, what those interviews are probably highlighting is that water really isn't on their mind. So the gentleman who says we take it for granted is pretty spot on. It's a lovely, lovely luxury to have. We've got pretty much everyone gets world-class drinking quality water to their tap without fail every day, and all their wastewater taken away out of sight, out of mind without fail. And it's a lovely position to be in. But what we're also trying to do, apart from providing perfectly great quality water, is make sure that we're not wasting it and also using it really, really efficiently. So it's an essential part of our lives. It's part of our daily routine. And we kind of pride ourselves for having this wonderful resource at our fingertips. But in order to be really in control of your water use, you do need to know maybe how much you actually use. And therefore, you can make some right decisions about what you and your family do every day.
That is a really great point, Andrew, because I was going to say to you, does it matter that people aren't aware of it? And what you're saying there is really our awareness is what gives us back that control over how much we use. That's control over our bill, and also control over protecting the environment, in that we're looking after water. Do you think there are some things, because we heard in those clips, showering came out in, some people said they think it was the highest use, some people said the lowest. I think toilet flushing came out in both groups as well. Do you think there are some things that people are perhaps a little unaware of just how much water it is using?
Oh yeah, completely, 100%. So, I mean, water is actually pretty simple. When we're comparing to other resources out there, we should be looking at this at a nice, simple way. We use water in the bathroom, the kitchen, outside when the weather's right. We've got showers and baths and toilets and taps, and in these rooms we've got appliances like dishwashers and washing machines, and then plus some extras that we might have outside. But overall, there aren't too many things that you need to look at when it comes to, hey, how much do you actually use, and B, what do I do to save on those things? So a couple of examples. Showers might be using between 6 and up to 15 litres a minute. That's just 1 minute. The average shower length for every other country is probably around about 7 minutes as the average shower length. We're always asking everyone to go for 4 because of the big savings that you get from that. But say, for instance, you are showering at the average 7 minutes and you've got a pretty efficient shower head at 7 litres a minute. All of a sudden, your 7-minute shower, you're up around 50 litres of water straight away. That's just you. No one else in your family. That's just one shower, 50 litres. So straight away, that one shower is exceeding many of the interview answers you just had.
Yeah.
If you've got a power shower, 15 or so litres a minute, and you're hanging out in the shower for 15 minutes because it just feels nice, all of a sudden that one person is using 225 litres of water. That's over 3 baths full of water. So, and that's hot water too. So you've got an energy bill in fact of that on there too. So all these things in our kitchens and bathrooms that we do take for granted and we do use every day, really add up. They really, really add up. And that I hadn't even touched on the leaks, but yeah.
No, you're right. And that, I think often people do underestimate things like a shower, just how much water that's using. As you say, heating it is an additional expense. Heating water is a really expensive thing to do with the product. And having a long shower is lovely, but just shaving a couple of minutes off it for a family of 4, I think we estimated could save a family about £200 a year in the combined energy and water costs. So it's a huge potential saving there, just through being knowledgeable of how much water you're using. So I guess we hear lots from companies, Thames included at the moment, talking about smart meters. So one of the, how do meters help people understand what their usage is, and what's the benefit of a smart meter over a standard old, you have to go and read it meter to the consumer, Andrew?
Yeah, okay. So we're all rolling out smart meters. We're 10 years into our smart meter rollout. We have well over 1 million smart meters in the ground, helping not just families, but also businesses. The difference is between a newer smart meter and compared to an older one, is that it kind of does the same thing. It reads the same flow of water. It just does it more often and tells us more often or quickly. So instead of reading it once or twice a year, the smart meter is just capturing that little bit of data every hour. So 24 reads a day. That means we're able to find and fix leaks very, very quickly, because you can see that the meter never stops flowing. And that's a real win. So you get that loss of water straight away, fix it, and that means that that family is not then paying for that huge loss on their property in the future. And the second one is that it gives the family a bit of insight as to actually how they're using water every single day. And they can make really, really simple, informed decisions by saying, I had no idea the washing machine or how much water, when we all come home from school and work and showers and baths and cooking takes place, and all of a sudden you realize, there's a huge amount of water. A lot of it's hot water. So if I can make some simple things, I can then quantify the benefits. And the benefits are the volume of water, in water bill reduction, and an energy bill reduction. So that's where smart meters are really coming into play. After a while, you don't need to call them smart meters in the same way that I call my phone a phone now, not a smartphone. It does more, but I'm so used to it, and now my expectation will go that way.
Yeah, that it is no longer smart, it's standard. And I think you touched on one of the things there that, meters can really help people pick up on leaks, which, as you say, if it's water going through your meter, it's water that you're paying for. So it's really important. And also it can cause serious damage around our homes if you've got an undetected leak going on. Normally you don't notice until they become quite catastrophic. What are the kind of things, Andrew, what are the signs that people would look out for that they've got a leak, and where are the common ones?
Okay, so the biggest leaks that we typically find will be toilets. The wonderful world of leaky loo topics, and then you've got the simple devices, simple fittings in your bathrooms and your kitchens of taps and showers. When they're dripping, it just means water is constantly going. It doesn't look like a great deal when you see a drip or a constant small flow, but that's the drip and the constant small flow that goes all day potentially. So it really, really adds up. I mean, an average leaky loo in a house is usually between 200 to 400 litres a day. That average little leaky loo is often doubling their family's total water use and their total water bill. So finding and fixing a little leaky loo is really important, not just for the local environment, but for your own back pocket. The leaky loo, look for it, is a little drip. If you've got a push, like a push button or a dual flush tub, the leaky loo is typically, it just never stops flowing inside the pan, and you get a little ripple of water in the bowl. And that really, really adds up. It's a huge amount of water. The same leaky loo, the average leaky loo in businesses. So if anyone who is in their office space, or you have your own business site, the average leaky loo in a business is over 1,000 litres a day lost. It just gets worse because you kind of just ignore it there, and it's someone else's problem, and it just gets worse and worse. So we know that 1 in 20 homes, or over 5% of the homes, have a leaky loo. We know that when you look at all the leaks, like taps and showers and anything else, nearly 10%, nearly 1 in 10 homes never stop flowing. This is drinking quality water that we've got to potable drinking quality standards, and it's just being lost that way. In the same way that we're repairing leaks on our own network, it's the same principle that we want homes and businesses to do, is fix those leaks inside those properties. And the other one there too is just look for irregularities outside. If you've got a front or back garden where you've got pipe work underneath it, either coming from the mains in the street to your house, or maybe even the back garden, where you might have a constantly dripping lead there. If it's happening underground, you might see ponding or green grass when you wouldn't expect to have green grass. So those things really add up because they are out of sight, out of mind. So both inside and outside of the house, find them and fix them. It'll pay off.
I love that, Andrew. It's a really straightforward thing to do, even more easy to spot if you've got a meter with that constant flow showing up. And it can, 1,000 litres from a business loo is huge. The cost impact of that alone genuinely is massive. And as you say, it's the environmental impact as well. We don't want clean, good quality tap water just being lost. So we've looked at leaks. What other advice could you give us to help us kind of be more aware of our water and think about practical ways to perhaps reduce it in our day-to-day activity?
Yeah, real simple stuff. So it's always nice to know how much you use. Whether you're metered or unmetered, you can simply go on to the many water calculators that are online. CC Water, I don't know if we've got one. So I'll focus on ours. I'm more familiar with that. So I would just go into a search engine, type in Thames Water calculator. It's available for anyone in the country to use. Just jump on there. It takes a few minutes, and you can put in some simple details about your house, your family's usage in the kitchen, in the bathroom, a bit of stuff outside, and it'll calculate a pretty decent at calculating your actual daily usage. And it also breaks it down into energy and water bill and energy bills as well. But it'll also spit out, based on what you put in, it'll spit out the top 2 or 3 water saving recommendations bespoke to you. So it's tailored to that family. You can print off, you can download your own personalized water report, and it'll give you it'll quantify the savings you can make from some really, really simple changes, whether it's changing a particular fitting or whether it's doing something a little bit different in your routine or your behaviors. It'll produce your report on how much you can save. And then in parallel to that is going back to the leak thing. Changing behaviors sometimes can feel like a bit of a challenge. You can make massive savings, as you pointed out earlier on, around a couple of minutes off your shower, and that water bill plus energy bill saving is well in excess of £200 a year just for a couple of minutes. So those things are a wonderful behavior. But also, if you go for the leaks and just fixing the basics and fixing the leaks, it removes a chunk of loss that you don't need to be paying for. So jump online, do the calculator, download your report, see how much you use, see how much you could save. And the next one is look for leaks in your house and get them fixed.
Awesome advice. Thanks, Andrew. And I think I've got to remind listeners that our last episode, the one before this one, was all about washing up in a bowl versus a dishwasher and what's more water efficient. And I think we've probably mentioned there as well using the eco button on things like dishwashers and your washing machine, which, whilst the cycle might take longer, which feels a little counterintuitive, actually does use less water and less energy as well. And it's no hardship to press a button. So I guess we've covered water use, how to save water and the importance of being aware. So I've got to ask you, Andrew, do you know your daily water usage?
I do.
Hooray! It would have been terrible if you didn't.
I knew this might have been coming because I do remember from the last interview, but I do know my usage. So when you boil that down as a nice little average, we're about 70 litres per person per day in the house. So 70.
I am continually impressed with the guests on Waterfall and their low water usage. 70 litres is really good against the UK and the England and Wales average, which is 140, 150 litres a day. Do you actively, I guess it is your job, do you actively do things at home to get that figure so low? Do you stand outside the bathroom door telling everybody to get out the shower?
No, I find this stuff really common sense. I don't like to be wasteful. I don't think anyone really likes to be wasteful, but it's just the awareness of it. So you're right, I've been working this sort of sector for a long time. But the simple things then start becoming BAU, business as usual. They're all really common sense types of things. We've made some changes over the recent years. More efficient fittings have gone into the house. And one of the ones that we did during the sort of peak summer and drought periods, and you can do it any time of year really, is something that we used to do back in Australia. Was we had a bucket in the shower and capture the water, and all the water we captured when the shower's warming up, that dead leg of cold to hot water you can use in the garden. So it almost completely takes out of the outside usage. It's really nice and simple. The other one that often gets overlooked is in your kitchen or in your basin in the bathroom is that you don't need to, most of the time, if you're not filling up something, you don't need to have the water on full flow. Full flow might be 3 or 6 litres a minute. So that's why it's always great when you hear people on the streets go, oh, I turned the tap off and brushed my teeth. Fantastic. You've saved 6, 12 liters of water. But also, if you are using water, if you don't need full flow, keep a low flow and you'll save water and money. And if you don't need it on right there and then, just turn it off.
Turn it off. Yes. I think that's great enough. And do you know what? We've had some nice weather recently, a very dry start to the year, so people's water butts might not be as full as we would hope for this time of year as we head into watering the garden time of year. So yeah, that idea of use the water that would otherwise just go straight back down the drain, use it where you can. Great advice.
Yeah, it both separate duty well.
Yeah, I love that. Simple, straightforward, no change, just a sensible way to not waste the water. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us today. As always, your insight is really valuable. And I think you shared with us some really good ideas and tips for how we can save water, and also the importance of why we should try and be aware of how much water we're using day to day. And it's really clear that making those small changes in our daily habits, we can actually make quite a big difference to our consumption, which is good for our pocket and good for the environment. Who doesn't love that? Thank you so much. For more practical tips to save water and money, don't forget to visit the CCW website at ccw.org.uk, where you'll find a wealth of information and tools to help you save. And that's it for this edition of Waterfall. Thanks for listening, and it's bye from me, Cath, and bye from you, Andrew.
Thanks for having me on. Can't wait for next time.
Thank you.